Max Verstappen to Mercedes was the rumor that just wouldn't die. Whispers swirled through the paddock, headlines screamed, Verstappen Silver Arrow, and Toto Wolff, ever the smooth operator, didn't exactly shut it down. For a while, it looked like we were headed for the ultimate power move. Max trading in his Red Bull Blues for Mercedes Silver. But just when everyone was getting comfortable with that fantasy, Mercedes dropped a plot twist no one saw coming. But does this mean Mercedes has officially shut the door on Max Verstappen? And is Toto really done flirting? Or just ghosting Max until further notice? According to fresh reports, George Russell is on the verge of signing a new Mercedes contract worth $30 million per year. Yeah, 30. That's the kind of money you throw at a driver when you're not just impressed. You're committed. And suddenly, that little window Verstappen might have been eyeing at Brackley looks like it's getting boarded up. One contract clause at a time. Russell's extension would run through 2028, and it's not just about the money, it's about what that money represents. A public declaration that George is the guy. Mercedes isn't hedging anymore. They're not keeping a seat warm for someone else. They're locking in a future, and they're doing it loudly, which, when you think about it, is kind of ironic, because just last year, Wolff was very publicly exploring his options. But let's be honest, Russell's been holding it down. 3 podiums in the first 4 races, sitting 4th in the championship, comfortably leading Mercedes' charge while his rookie teammate Kimi Antonelli finds his rhythm. That kind of performance doesn't just earn you points, it earns you leverage. And in F1, leverage turns into contracts. Big ones. So the timing of this offer? Not random, not reactive. This is Mercedes choosing stability over speculation, choosing Russell over the chaos that comes with Verstappen, Red Bull politics, and whatever the next chapter of that drama-filled saga might bring. And if Russell signs, if he really does ink that $30 million deal, then the whole Verstappen to Mercedes debate might be over before it even properly began. Meanwhile, over in the land of energy drinks and chaos, things aren't exactly royal anymore. Red Bull, once the untouchable empire of Formula One, is starting to show cracks. Max Verstappen, the 4-time world champion and poster boy of their dominance, suddenly finds himself in the middle of a team that can't seem to keep it together or keep up. The RB21? More like the RB. Why is it snapping mid-corner? The Bahrain Grand Prix was supposed to be a statement. Instead, it was a warning sign. Verstappen qualified 7th, dropped like a rock to the back, and clawed his way back to 6th, for a grand total of 8 points. And while that might be fine for mere mortals, this is Max we're talking about. 8 points and a 34-second deficit, even with a safety car? That's not a race. That's a red flag waving in his face. The car's been twitchy, uncooperative, and slow across every tire compound. Verstappen's been stuck battling Alpines when he should be dicing with McLarens and Ferraris. And let's not forget the subtle but very real shift in garage vibes. Sergio Perez is gone, Yuki Tsunoda's in, and the team no longer feels like a fortress. It feels like an experiment held together with caffeine and denial. And then there's that now infamous competitiveness clause. A tiny detail with massive implications. If Max drops out of the top 3 in the standings, he can walk. Just leave. Find new pastures, a new team, a fresh start. And right now, with McLaren looking sharper and Ferrari doing Ferrari things, in a good way for once, Max falling out of the top 3 doesn't feel like a hypothetical. It feels inevitable. But here's the twist. When that clause finally becomes useful, the exit door he might want to walk through could be locked. Toto Wolff has had his flirt era. He spent the better part of 2024 giving Verstappen the eye, publicly, unapologetically, and with just enough ambiguity to keep us all guessing. But now it feels like the DMS have stopped. The likes have dried up. Toto's moved on. He said it himself back in Melbourne. I don't flirt outside if I'm in a good relationship, which, by the way, is one of the most Toto things ever said. He's clearly feeling good about his current lineup. George Russell, the newly minted team leader, Kimi Antonelli, the 18-year-old rookie with scary potential, and let's not forget the ever-reliable Valtteri Bottas chilling in the reserves like a dad at a barbecue, ready to step in if things get weird. For Toto, it's not just about chasing the best driver on paper anymore. It's about building a team that works, a system, a long-term plan, and right now, Verstappen is not part of that plan. Maybe he was. Maybe Toto even wanted him to be, but with the Russell extension in motion and Antonelli showing serious promise, it looks like Wolff has finally hit send on his emotional unsubscribe. And the timing couldn't be more poetic. Just as Verstappen's Red Bull world starts wobbling, just as the exit clause starts glowing like a neon sign, Mercedes isn't chasing, Toto isn't calling. He's got a full house and no room at the table, which means if Max wants out, he'll have to look somewhere else. Because Toto Wolff, he's over it. For George Russell, this isn't just a new contract, it's a throne, polished, waiting, and finally his for the taking. After years of waiting in Hamilton's shadow and then riding through the uncertainty of a post-Lewis Mercedes, Russell is now stepping into a reality where he is the main character. And that $30 million offer, that's not just a reward for podiums. It's a signal. Mercedes isn't just backing him, they're building around him. This is the moment every young driver dreams of. The car might not be title-winning yet, but the structure around him is. Mercedes has stability, a clear direction, and no more star-studded distractions. The Antonelli project is exciting, yes, but it's still developing. Russell, on the other hand, is delivering now. He's gone toe-to-toe with the best and emerged as a consistent force when the team needed one. And with Verstappen's name being quietly phased out of the Mercedes conversation, Russell's runway just got a lot longer. No looming pressure of a megastar coming in to shake up the hierarchy. No whispers about whether he's just a placeholder. Instead, he gets what every driver wants but rarely receives: the space to grow without a threat breathing down his neck. The timing couldn't be better. The team's reset is nearly complete. Hamilton's era is in the rear view, Red Bull is faltering, and Toto Wolff, in full "we're a family now" mode, is handing George the keys to the house. Of course, he still has to sign. Nothing's official yet, but if he does, and let's be real, who's turning down $30 million and a clear #1 status? This becomes more than just an opportunity. It becomes a legacy in the making. Because while Verstappen might be looking for an escape plan, Russell already has something better, a plan that includes him. For Max Verstappen, this isn't just a door closing, it's a domino falling, a big one. For months, the Mercedes option has lingered in the background like a safety net, just in case things at Red Bull went completely off the rails. And now, just when the rails are starting to crack and the car feels like it was designed by committee during a caffeine crash, the lifeline is disappearing. Sure, Aston Martin is still there. The Honda engine is familiar. Adrian Newey might bring a touch of magic, but it's not the same. Mercedes wasn't just another option, it was the option. Prestige, stability, a team that's been at the top, knows how to stay there, and until recently, was actively flirting with him. But now, the vibe has shifted. Toto isn't just moving on, he's locking the door behind him. That leaves Max in a weird limbo. He has a competitiveness clause that could give him freedom, but no clear destination if the Mercedes seat is off the table. And let's be honest, joining a midfield team in 2026, even with the promise of long-term gains, is a gamble. Max doesn't strike anyone as a guy who wants to play the long game anymore. He wants wins now, so unless Aston Martin throws a generational car at him, or Red Bull somehow gets their act together fast, he might be stuck. Stuck in a car that no longer matches his ambitions, surrounded by a team that feels less like a dynasty and more like a cautionary tale in slow motion. And ironically, all of this is happening right when he's still in his prime. That's the part that stings the most. It's not official yet, but it sure feels like the credits are starting to roll. Mercedes isn't just offering Russell a massive contract, they're building a structure that doesn't have space for Max. And Toto, Once the man sending signals louder than a foghorn now sounds like someone who's emotionally archived the whole Verstappen file. Still, nothing in Formula One is ever final until the ink dries. Russell hasn't signed yet, Verstappen's clause hasn't triggered yet, and if Red Bull's form nosedives into full disaster territory, it's not impossible to imagine the conversation reigniting. But that possibility feels more like fantasy than strategy now. The truth is, both sides have shifted. Verstappen, for all his dominance, isn't as untouchable as he was. And Mercedes, for all their recent struggles, now have something far more valuable than desperation. They have direction, a clear path, a plan. So is this the end of the Mercedes Verstappen dream? Maybe not with a full stop, but it's definitely a fade to black moment. That magic window where everything aligned, the exit clause, Mercedes' driver gap, Max's restlessness, is closing fast. And unless something huge happens, that dream stays just that, a dream. In Formula One, narratives change faster than pit stop strategies. One week, it's all rumors and romantic glances across paddocks. The next, it's we're focusing on the drivers we have. But if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that silence from Toto Wolff speaks volumes. Because when Toto stops talking, it usually means the decision's already been made. And for Max Verstappen, he might be a four-time champion, but even champions need options. And right now, it looks like his best one just drove off into the distance with George Russell at the wheel.